Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 171 of the weekly recap. As promised last week, today we have again special guest. Thank you for joining us, Jochen, one of our vanguards, and Max, aka Regner. He is a former legend and a former vanguard and an MVP. How did you do that, Max?
Yeah, I did nothing special, I would say. I just was active in the community, supported, wrote some stuff, and somehow I managed to make it.
Yeah, I don't think the rest of the people are thinking the same because I think you are the first one that managed to do that. So
Yes,
congrats for that. So how are you guys today?
Oh, very good, very good. I had a busy day. We had the partner academy just before, so going from one call to another.
Jochen, all good with you?
I'm
Recovering
good
from
too.
Veeam still?
Yeah, well, so far it's been over a week now, so the recovery has been done. But otherwise, I'm really good. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation, Madalena,
Yeah,
and I'm looking
absolutely.
forward to it.
Thank you for accepting my invitation, both of you. And I have not mentioned Safia, but of course we have Safia as well.
Oh, he's here.
She's here. And yeah, Safia, I think you are attending a conference as well today, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of in a dark room. I don't know if anyone noticed. I'm in a hotel room right now with not the best lighting in Virginia. We're doing a sponsorship for this small community event called Shark Fest by Wireshark. So yeah, it's been a good event so far. Today's the last day, but glad to be here joining as well.
That's definitely great. I've never attended that one, so I'm looking forward for the feedback at the end of it. But yeah, I guess maybe you can just give us an overview of it at the hub, maybe write an article or something. I don't know, just an idea. So yeah, because both Max and Jochen are new to the weekly recap, why don't you just give us an introduction of yourselves?
Yeah, of course. I'm Max Meyer from Germany. I just started at Veeam about half a year ago as a systems engineer, supporting the commercial side here in Germany, South Germany. And yeah, before that, I was part of the Legends of the Vanguards, working as a Veeam consultant for the last 8 or 9 years about. Yeah, I had to give up my titles, but I was lucky to get the Veeam MVP, so I can continue to be a part of this, of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Less than a year, already MVP status. So how did you do it? You have to tell us the secret one day. But yeah, I cannot stop looking at your pin in there. Thank you for wearing it for this special occasion.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah. So, Jochen?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Jochen Seger. Thanks for the introduction already, Maddie. My name is, as I said, Jochen Seger. I work for a company, SVA. We're a big systems integrator in Germany, around 3,200 people at the moment. I'm with SVA for now almost 6.5 years about that. And I work with Veeam for the last 7 to 8 years solely. Before that, I was 8 to 9 years with another backup product. So basically all my professional life, I was in the backup business. And I'm in the Veeam Vanguard program. This is my 3rd year now. And I really enjoy it. I'm really happy to be here. So again, thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's really happy to have you, both of you. So, okay, thank you for your introductions. Are you ready to jump in? Today we have only 3 articles. We are not breaking the rules. We have some really good content that we are going to discuss on. So, should we?
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Okay. Then let's start with the first one that comes from Shane. Shane is always present in our recaps. Good job. So this is a really good article, actually. He's been writing previously about the malware detection. And today he's discussing it from a different perspective. And he's basically telling us how to, to begin tackling malware events that you receive from Veeam. So he's talking about some shortcomings of the inline scan engine and how he's dealing with it, with examples and all. And he says, in one of the paragraph there, he says, I've had to really dig into doing a lot of scan backup and manual scan tasks, as well as get creative in how I do forensics on my systems to make sure the malware detection events I'm receiving are false positive. So he's sharing with us some of the forensics and analysis processes that he's doing in his environment. And here we have a very detailed, like technical explanation on it. I'm not gonna try to just get very technical and very in details, but what I want to do is to ask you, what is your opinion and takeaway? Do you have your own processes, same as Shane? There are some shortcomings that you see as well with this feature? What is your opinion on it?
Yeah, I would say ransomware detection or malware detection is really one of the focus points we have since 12.1, and it's getting better with every release. So we started with version 1, and we've increased our logging options, our exclusions. So yeah, every release it gets getting better and better, I would say. But of course, it's only a tool. So you have the tool which shows you that there might be something suspicious, might be something malicious perhaps. But of course, you need to check in detail, what have we seen? Is it really suspicious, or is it maybe a false positive? And yeah, so Shane's article is really good because it explains how to analyze even further what we've seen and to make sure if the systems are infected or if they are clean. Because I know with every security tool you get false positives. The more you analyze, the more you go into depth, the more false positives you get. So yeah, you might see them and you might want to go analyzing what's wrong with your systems. So it makes sense to scan your backups, do a Jara scan perhaps. And I know, for example, from the forums, there is a case about Google and Edge, which are false positives. So maybe if you see issues there, if you have false positives, contact our support because there's a fix available or in the work regarding the Google or the Edge cache. So if you're affected by this, then contact our support.
Okay.
But altogether, yeah, if you want to analyze the backups even further, then Shane is has a really good explanation.
Yeah, he really loves to go very in detail, right? With all the explanations, and he becomes very technical in there. So definitely advise people to go over this article if they are using this feature. Jochen, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I agree with Max that every scan tool, no matter where you use it in the current times, will always give you false positives, and it's just a matter of refining the Yara rules and the processes and so on. What I really like about the article is that he also talked about how to use it if you only have the Veeam Data Protection Foundation edition. So how to manually add the feature to it. I really like that. Otherwise, I'm very much in contact with our forensics team in our company, and we talk about all those features a lot, what the backup systems at the moment give you. The thing is, it is really good when you have been attacked to use in the forensics to maybe check without having to restore and check it manually if there's some bad retention points in there which have still bad files or onion links and so on and so on. The thing is, a backup product is always the last in line. So the main focus of your company should be to detect that somebody is moving around in your environment and trying to capture domain accounts and so on and so on. So that's where you really should focus on and not just rely on having to find files in the backup, which is the last in the chain. And that's why I would like to take a little bit of a detour from that topic and highlight the Veeam Incident API, which basically came into the same release but doesn't get that much attention. What I really like about this, when I was at Veeam 2 weeks ago, I was in the expo hall and talked to a to a company there. One of the companies that partners already with Veeam, which do have a front-end scanning available, so with honeypot systems, with behavioral analysis, and so on and so on. So they really should be able to detect that something is going on in your environment before it even hits you and before the encryption even starts. What I like about this is that they can now integrate over REST API into the Veeam Incident API, and then well, first of all, they can trigger one of the systems in Veeam as suspicious and so on. But again, a backup tool is normally not the first monitoring tool when you have such a solution in place. But what I really like about it, that they can also trigger quick backups over the Incident API. So let's say they see somebody is moving around on a system and trying to get access to it and so on, and before they can even break in or before an encryption even happened, they can trigger a quick backup over the Incident API and just get a clean snapshot of that VM for in the least amount of time before maybe anything happens. So the malware scanner is a really good feature, and as Max said, it will be refined over time, so the logging gets better and so on and so on. But I think the Incident API is a really great tool to integrate in your complete security structure.
Yeah, great point of view. And are we waiting maybe on an article on the Incident API? Maybe you think about, share with us all your learnings. Now that you're opening this subject, why not?
Yeah, why not? I will get in touch with our forensics guys. Of course, unfortunately, they are very busy. We do have still a lot of attacks all over Germany and the world, as we all know. So it's hard to get them to do a test in a lab environment, but I think I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, I think that could be very useful to our community. But yeah, thank you both for the point of views. Really interesting, and definitely this is going to improve as we go. Veeam 13, Veeam 14, Veeam. Sorry, this feature V12.1, V12.2, V13. I don't know which one is going to be, but definitely it's going to improve. I'm pretty sure about that. So yeah, thank you very much. Should we move to the second article then?
Sure.
Okay, let's go to that one. So the second one comes from Antonio. He's also one of our legends. Yeah, his article is about how to back up Oracle databases with FS Agent and RMAN Plugin. And then he's talking about the best practices and the user experiences. And I believe this is kind of an example from a customer, as far as I understand, reading this article. So basically a real scenario. I always appreciate the real scenarios because, it can happen to anyone. And yeah, it's a real scenario of the installations on Oracle Linux VMs. So that's what he's discussing in here. And he's starting by giving us the details of the installation and configuration and having a demo as well. If you look in there, getting super detailed into it and taking us as well through the troubleshooting process. And of course, the backup and restore processes. Now, my question for you is have you done a backup for Oracle databases with FS and RMAN plugin? If not, or if yes, what is your experience with it? If not, are you planning to use it? Any tips and tricks? And overall, what do you think about this article?
Yeah, I've worked with Oracle before. I've used the plugin, but I have to admit I'm not the Oracle guy. So fortunately, in calls, you always have the database administrator, the Oracle database administrator with you. They do the Oracle side, and we help them just installing the plugin. So just as Antonio, I would go with the managed side, deployed from Veeam. There are only a few steps, which he describes very good. Some requirements and some stuff you need to prepare in front, and then use our protection groups to deploy the plugin, which is really easy, I would say. And maybe if you want to restore the configuration, the database or the backups to another system, it's important to look at the authentication because you need to configure it on the target system. But also it's described in this blog. So if I had a customer who doesn't have any experience, I would just point him to the blog article, to our help centers. And so I think they can work with it really good.
Okay.
Yeah. So far, I didn't use in a customer environment the managed side of the plugin. So far in the bigger environments, I always installed together, as Max said, normally together with the Oracle DBA, I installed the application plugin. What I really liked about installing the plugins, be it SAP HANA or be it Oracle, is that they are very easy command line tools to set up. You only have to do a couple of configuration steps. One thing that gets often overlooked, Sophia, if you scroll to the page where you have to set the permissions on the backup repository, this oftentimes gets overlooked, and then you don't see a backup repository during the configuration. So it's good that he also mentioned it in his article. What I also liked about the plugin was that if you run it with the correct user permissions, it also even sets your RMAN configuration in the database to have the correct channels and so on, and have everything set up. Unfortunately, the Oracle guys, most of the time, they like to do that themselves. So they didn't want an automatic configuration. They like to tamper with their config files themselves. But other than that, my experience was very good. Almost all of my customers reported an increase in backup performance when they were using the Veeam transport protocol for it. What I like about that it's now possible to use it as a managed deployment is that you now can cover another skill set, because some customers, especially smaller customers, they may have some Oracle systems running around, but they don't have an Oracle DBA. So now it's very easy to just deploy the plugin and have all the backups configured over your VBR console and do everything with the GUI. Normally in the bigger environments, they are quite strict on who is running the RMAN script and who is doing the scheduling and so on. So, but it's good that Veeam gives you the flexibility of either doing everything, let's say, by hand and do the expert configuration on the Oracle side itself, or you go the route of the article and do everything in the managed mode, which gives you a much easier deployment. And what is just awesome about the article here is that he really talks about, from the beginning, he explains the environment. It's a step-by-step guide. So it's a really good alternative source of information apart from the help center.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just as I said, it's a real scenario, and that's really valuable always, because you can also see what were the issues that he encountered on the way, and you can even learn out of that. And then when you actually have a situation similar and you have to do this installment and configuration, then you know what you should avoid, or what's the route you should take to avoid those things. But how much time do you save if you do the managed mode compared to the manual one?
I don't think you save a lot of time, because
Okay.
the application plugin is very quick to install. It just takes about a minute or 2 minutes to just get everything set up. It's just you have to be more in touch with the Oracle DBAs, because somebody has to be present who logs you into the system, who can tell you all the informations about the databases and so on. So that maybe takes a little bit of time, but you would also need that time if you would run it in managed mode and there was some special configuration. But if you have a couple of Oracle systems in your environment which you just want to back up, and you do not want to use, if it's running on Windows, the VSS, like it was possible since, I think, 2 or 3 versions of Veeam. I don't know when it was introduced. Then it can save you some time, and especially you can give it to people who do not have Oracle know-how. So you just need the correct permissions as he perfectly described in the article, and you can just do it in a GUI fashion, and you don't have to work with a command line interface. So I don't think it's really about time. It's more about convenience and ease of use.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say the
good.
same. If you have a single system, it doesn't make much difference. But as soon as you have multiple systems,
yeah, you're right.
Perhaps different administrative units, different departments, then it makes sense to have them in managed mode. And also thinking about updates, upgrades of the plugin. Yeah.
It heavily depends on the customer, because some customers, especially the bigger ones, they don't like software being pushed onto their Oracle systems from the outside. So they don't want to have an attended install and just being led through the installation. I think this also, when the application, the enterprise application plugins were introduced, so SAP HANA and Oracle, that was really the way to go, to not start in a managed mode and having to be pushed to the systems. I think it was good that they came into those RPM packages and being able to install them manually together with the SAP or Oracle DBA.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about the flexibility. You can do it however you need it, however you require. So manual or managed mode.
Why would someone still choose to do it manually? Why do you think someone would still choose to do it?
On highly customized databases, or let's just say customized databases, they like to have the RMAN configuration, the Oracle Recovery Manager, the RMAN configuration. They like to do that themselves because they sometimes have some special parameters in there. For example, there's also a parameter in RMAN scripts where you can back up the whole database, and after the backup is finished, everything is being read back. And to see if any inconsistencies appear. So sometimes they do have very customized RMAN scripts and they still want to use those. And they're trying to hang on to it because they were developed over a couple of years and they had other problems, and they always worked around that and have like their perfect custom solution, and they don't want to give that up. They want to keep that. So that's why they just need the plugin. They just need the channel where they can put the data in, and the rest is up to them.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you for that, for the point of view. Okay, should we move to our last article of the day? That comes from Steve Hart, one of our stars at the Community Hub. He is also an MVP. And yeah, he's discussing here the Veeam Syslog data in Elastic. And yeah, as we all know, on some of the awesome things we can do with the Veeam backup and replication version 12.1 is that VBR events, can be sent to external Syslog servers. And Veeam has these integrations with Splunk and Sophos, MDR, XDR. I feel like we haven't really talked a lot or at the hub about this integration, so maybe it's time to talk more. Wink, wink. And this gives us a better visibility to detect and stop threats targeting backup data. And what is discussing Steven here is actually how to visualize Veeam Syslog data in Elastic Stack. And what is Elastic Stack? This is like an AWS product, data used for analytics purposes, and that means like searching, analyzing, visualizing large volumes of data in real time, which is important. And there are like 3 popular projects in here: Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. I'm not going to go over each of those. He gave already like an explanation of each of these projects, explaining in detail about each of those. And of course, then Steve takes us through what each of these are good for, a demo on deployment and configuration, and how to use it with Veeam backup and replication. So if you want to know more about it, he's also sharing some links, and I think there is documentation, the official documentation. There is like a link with the setup instruction and the blog post. There is more information on it if you want to, go deep into this subject. But for now, I would like to ask you if you used it, and if you used it, what is your opinion on that? If you haven't used it, are you planning to use it? Do you think it's a good product? Some key points that, could help the community? Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, in general, the Syslog integration is great because we have
Mhm.
many customers, and also I myself was waiting on it. And since 12.1, we can finally send logs to a Syslog server. So it's really great that we now have this capability
Mhm.
and that we have so many solutions which we can work together. So Splunk as an official one is possible. We have our own Splunk app, but not everyone uses Splunk, or maybe Sophos MDR, XDR service. So if customers want to manage it themselves, build up a solution by themselves, they can use the Elastic Stack. I think it's not open source anymore, but it's still
Yeah,
available
that's
for
what
free.
it says. Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, if they want to build it themselves, they can use it. And the guide from Steve is really great. And it's only one of his projects, because if you go to his GitHub page, he has so many different projects he's working on. So it's great that he has worked on this, created this, but there are so many other tools. You have to check out what he
Yeah,
has.
that's what I
What,
said. He's a star, one
yeah.
of the stars.
And so it's really great to see more and more integrations coming and more projects. We've heard on Veeam On, we're also getting an integration with Palo Alto SIEM solutions.
Mhm.
So the space is growing and growing because you have the logs and you need to analyze it. So it's good to see many different solutions, both free and of course
Mhm.
the enterprise ones, the paid ones. So yeah, looking forward to see more solutions. And especially if I have
Absolutely.
customers who want to build it or use Elastic Stack, then I will point them to the article from Steve.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting solution, this one.
Yeah,
I didn't
absolutely.
know about it. Yeah.
Because not everyone has an enterprise SIEM solution. Many build it themselves. So it's always good to have a guide which
Mhm.
specifically looks at the Veeam solution and our requirements and our capabilities.
I think this is the first article that we got on this subject. So yeah, really, thank you, Steve, because maybe people don't know about it. So it's great. I always be like, hey guys, if you know about a new solution, if you feel like you can share it with others, come
Mm.
and do it at the hub. There are a lot of people that are checking daily our community hub. So, we are all learning from each other. So that's a really good practice. I appreciate Steve for that.
Yeah, and so many times if I search something, I go on Google and the
Mhm.
first solution which comes up is something on the community hub. So if you write the
Yeah,
blog there, it will be seen by others.
absolutely. And Max, you are like many, many times you think like, oh, but this is so obvious, but it might not be obvious for other people, just like
Mm.
share it, even if it looks obvious and simple for you and something that you think people cannot learn out of it. Just go and share it. You'll be surprised. Some people might just not be aware of
Yeah.
some of the solutions, products, and so on and so forth. So it's always a good practice.
And sometimes we have really small features. Syslog is a small feature, but it's really powerful. So you might
Mhm.
not know about it. Or just as Jochen said about the incident API quick backup, it's one check mark in a sub
Yep.
menu, but it's really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's often the small features that are more powerful than the features who get promoted a lot. But that's what I like about Veeam. You have basically somewhere there is a check mark to get what you need to do. But regarding on the subject, first of all, I completely agree with Max. Steve is an extremely active guy. I wonder if he sleeps sometimes during the day. Well, not during the day, but in his 24 hours, maybe 1 or 2 hours of sleep. Um, Regarding the Elastic Stack, I'm not claiming to be any expert on the matter. I never really worked with it, but I really like the article because it starts, from the bottom to the from the top to the bottom. He explains everything really, really nicely. about what you need, how all the components work together, and how you can build an environment. Most of the times, when you come to a customer who already has a solution in place, then they would not build it up because they are using Veeam. But now they have a way to say, hey, why not? It's free to use, even if it's not open source anymore. Let's just build it and see what informations we can get about it, what we can get into it, and also integrate other systems which we have in our environment. Regarding the Syslog functionality, I also completely agree with Max. This is a feature that all the SMB customers normally do not care all too much about because they do not have a Syslog server running. But as soon as you get into the enterprise grade, it's really a must-have for a lot of the customers. A couple of years back, I was working with a bigger customer who really struggled because Veeam did not have the integration until then. So we really had to get creative. There was a tool which then pulled all the Veeam logs and crawled through the information and really had to search for the right amount of information which they could then present. So it was a lot of work, which really now is not necessary anymore because you do have the Syslog integration. So again, one step in the right direction. It always comes, as it was always with Veeam, it always comes from customer feedback and from the need in the market. When the market shows that there's a need for a function or for a solution, then Veeam will deliver it. Of course, sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but software development just takes time.
Yeah, it's important to tell us what the customers want or what you want. Go to the forums, tell your Veeam people, because the more voices we get, the higher is the vote for feature requests.
And also attend meetings, attend user groups, attend Veeam On, or attend Veeam On Tour, which I think is a perfect bridge now for Sophia.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we get into the specialty part, the news, I do have, because we've been talking about the features and which ones are like used for different purposes. There's a bonus question. Which ones, like, give me your 3 top Veeam backend replication V12.1 features, each of you.
So where do I start, from the first place or from the third place?
Whatever you want. I'm flexible with that.
Okay, so Syslog would be place number 3, I would say, because I was waiting long for it, and really many customers have benefited from Syslog capabilities. Second place, what's second place? That's good. I know what the first place is, but second place, yeah, it's really hard because we have so many features in 12.1, and I like all the security stuff. Because malware detection is great, the inline scan is great, Jara rules are great. Let's put Jara rules and the inline malware scan together on one place. Because it's really powerful. It gives insights if the customers were missing before, and you can analyze your backups without touching the systems, because you go in the blocks. There's nothing to oversee. No hacker or no attack which can't be undetected in the backups with Jara. So I like both. Both Jara and inline scan, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Jochen?
This is a really hard question.
Not that hard. Come on, you have so many choices.
Yeah, that's the
problem.
That's the problem. When you go to a restaurant, you have your really big menu. It's harder. I
always take burgers.
No, I really think, like, everybody is talking about the security features, and of course the security features are really important. But as I said, when we discussed the first article, I really like more the integration in front-end security than being able to scan in the backend. So I'm not going to put my top 3 in the security department or let's say in the scanning department. I like the 4 eyes authorization that 12.1 gave us. So you can really, again, have a layer of security for and a remote attack from the outside, or even a disgruntled administrator of your company who wants to do something bad. I really like that. Other than that, I like the I think place 2. I'm struggling. Let's say place 2. I like that you can back up object storage. So not backup to object storage, but backup object storage repositories, not repositories, sources. This will be, I think, right now it's not being heavily used, but in the future, object storage will become more and more used, and then you need a way to back up your data from those. On place number 1, if you would not limit me to VBR or to Veeam backup replication, and you would also put Veeam for M365 into the mix, my biggest feature, which is coming up in V8, is the proxy pools. But since we are talking about VBR, we will stay on topic. I also really like all the enhancement which has been going on the base infrastructure. So the enhanced possibilities on a scale-out backup repository, the enhanced PostgreSQL database integration, and so on and so on. This is what I really like the most, because let's face it, a lot of customers actually do not even use the most of the features that Veeam really provides them. So everything which has been done to the foundation of the product to make the foundation better, which basically everybody is using, this is for me always a top 1 feature.
Okay, that's really interesting point of view. Thank you both for sharing that with us. I'm pretty sure our community is going to find that valuable, and they're going to learn out of it. And now, Safia, I'm not going to keep you waiting anymore.
Yeah.
Go for those special department news, because we have some, and who's new as well.
Yes, so we have 3 pieces of special department news for this week. The first being from Jeff, celebrating a special occasion that I think out of all the community members, it would be Jeff who would celebrate. Kubernetes turned 10. It's like a 5th grader at this age can multiply and divide. So happy birthday to Kubernetes. Canada East, their CNCF community group, had this meetup at the Google office where Kubernetes came from initially. It seems that they had a full day of content. They had a watch party where they watched a documentary about Kubernetes. They had an ambassador panel for their CNCF ambassadors. They had a conversation with one of the directors at Google in a lightning talk as well about Kubernetes journeys. And Jeff got to attend, and so he blogged about the entire thing, talking very in a Jeff way, so detailed about all of the things that he did. He said it was a hot day, so he decided not to bike as he usually does, but instead take the subway. Just the small details that only Jeff.
He's a very descriptive writer.
Yes, he is.
Let's put it
definitely.
that way.
Talking about even the elevator at Google, if anybody wanted to know. I've never been to a Google office. I don't know if any of you have, but I guess their elevators are very high tech, and it takes people to figure out how to even use it. But yeah, these look like some great photos. It looked like it was a really fun event from Jeff. I know Jeff is like our main Kubernetes expert in our community in general. He runs Kubernetes Corner, of course, but especially in our Veeam 100 group. Jochen, Max, do you guys engage in Kubernetes at all? Are you starting to learn and dabble with it?
It's still a subject where I'm not so
Yeah.
active. I have to admit it. I worked with Kubernetes, I worked with Carsten, our backup solution, but I can't say that I'm anyhow an expert in Kubernetes. I'm even surprised that it's the 10th birthday, because I would have thought it's much older than 10 years.
Oh, really?
But okay, yeah, it's really surprising, and it's everywhere.
Now you know it, Max.
Now I know it, yeah.
Jochen, do you engage in Kubernetes at all?
Me personally, I almost had no contact with it so far. I'm always impressed when I see Michael Cade at stage doing his demos, where it really looks awesome, but I do not claim to understand half of what he's talking about, but he really knows his stuff. But in our company, the guys who are working with the container environments and so on and do all of that work, they as soon as you say to them, like, Veeam is backing up container environments with custom, they all nod their heads and they know what you're talking about, because the product custom itself was very well known in the community. At least everybody I talked about that, and it was very respected tool. So everybody liked the tool, and so I think Veeam made the right choice to acquire custom a few years back.
Definitely. And very passionate community is what I've noticed about people who engage with
Yes.
Kubernetes. It's a great community it seems to be a part of. So happy birthday to Kubernetes. Many years to come. Cheers to you. The next special department news is just, I wanted to highlight, we have a VUG event in the Netherlands coming up. This will actually be virtual. So it'll be hosted by Jos, and he will have two additional guest speakers joining him, one from 1111 Systems, talking about Veeam DR, as well as someone from the Veeam team, Bram from the Veeam Netherlands team, who will discuss Veeam highlights, as a lot of people are doing in the past few weeks, and we'll move forward. I'm sure in the next couple of months of all the Veeam content, but rather than just discussing some of the highlights, describing it in more detail and how people can actually utilize what was announced. So yeah, if it's on July 2nd, 10 a.m. for me, I believe it's 4 p.m. local time. So if any of you are based in the Netherlands or speak Dutch, it's a virtual event, so you're welcome to join in. Lastly, Veeam on Tour. As I was just discussing, everyone's been discussing Veeam and I think the conversation will continue. The big event week-long happened a few weeks ago, but now we're having Veeam tours happening globally. And the tour dates actually just came out, so definitely check out this website. It's pinned to the top of the community hub, this post listing out. I'm sure this is not all of the locations. I'm sure more will be announced slowly but surely, but even in the past week, like, most of this map was empty, so they're starting to add more dates as they come. And of course, we have two German guests on the show, and there's going to be a German event in Frankfurt on October 9th. Are either of you planning to go?
Yeah, absolutely, because sorry, Jochen.
No, go ahead.
So when I was a customer or a partner, I would have made sure to get to Veeam tour or to any Veeam event. Now working as a system engineer, it's not so hard time anymore because I can't join, and I probably will have some active part there. So yeah, I will try to be there in Frankfurt. And what's also nice to know, we have two further events before the Veeam tour. We have the Veeam Unplugged, the Veeam Unplugged, as it's called, in Bonn and in Augsburg next month. So many events coming to Germany.
When is going to be that for the people that want to join?
Let me look it up. It's in the first July week, and
yeah, just you don't have to look right now, but just when we going to post the recap, just leave the link in there to it, or just the details of it. This way people are going to be able to find it, so it's even better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's only for customers, so if you want to join either in Bonn or in Augsburg, then yeah, come to see us.
Johan, are you planning to join?
I'm planning to join, actually, and I really like the concept of having the Veeam tours worldwide, everywhere, because a lot of people, also including my colleagues all over Germany, not everybody is always, not everybody wants to or can travel to the US to the big Veeam. So it's great that you have the opportunity afterwards to attend the local and with the local language speaking Veeam tours, so you don't miss on any of the updates and have a chance to meet the guys, which you can just connect to a network and talk about your customer needs or anything Veeam related.
Definitely. Madalena, you're planning to attend a few as well, right?
Yes, let's see which ones. I'm planning to go to Asia, but I'm not sure which ones yet. Still to confirm.
Gotcha. Okay, stay tuned then. But yeah, definitely check out the Veeam Tour site, see if one is happening in your local area, and engage. Okay, lastly, who's new? We had 64 people, it'll show up, join in the past week. 68, I stand corrected. 68 people joined in the past week. So welcome everyone to the community. I did skip the coolest users this week because there were not as many names. So I just went straight to Alfred's pick. But before I do that, do any names stick out to any of you as your favorite?
I'm always surprised how Rick recognizes people on this list because there are so many names, and then he says, "Oh, I know this one, I know that one," because
Yeah,
it
it's
takes so
so
much time to
funny.
read through a list. Yeah, I like Backup Thomas. I like Backup Thomas.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, I'm not as fast as Rick. I would really have to think about it, but nothing stands out for me at the moment. Yeah, Backup Thomas is the only Kentucky home, but other than that, I can't see anything at the. Oh, Captain James T. Kirk.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was
James
looking
T.
at that
Kirk.
as well. That's a
Yeah.
fun one. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you remember, it was a Veeam on in Las Vegas a lot of years ago. I wasn't even working with Veeam back then. But Florian Rack, maybe you still remember him. He was also in the Vanguard program until a few years back. He was
Yeah.
there and he won Lab Wars at Veeam on. And one of his prize was meeting Captain James T. Kirk. So I can't remember the name
Oh, very cool.
of the actor. The funny thing was, Florian had no idea who he was. He never watched the series. He just stood by
Aw.
him, took a picture, but he didn't know who he actually met back then.
Yeah. So he was like, yeah, whatever.
Whatever. I'll just meet him.
Yeah, I'm just meeting. Seems to
Awesome.
be famous.
That is my pick for Alfred's pick of the week. Was
Ah.
There
Captain
you
James
go.
T. Kirk. So fitting. Maybe we should have added a picture of Florian on the side as well, since you met him
Yeah, we should instead of.
instead of Alfred. But
Yeah.
welcome everyone, and congrats to Captain James T. Kirk.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank
Congratulations.
you. Yeah. Thank you, both of you and Sophia, for, being with us today and preparing the Who's New and the special department news. And really happy to have you for the first time in the recap. Hopefully, not the last time. And I think we had a super cool show today. We are probably 1 hour now.
I think this is one of the longer shows. Yeah,
One of the
looking at the
longest
time
show,
now.
but really enjoyed the conversation. It was really great. So thank you once again. And thank you all for staying with us for the hour and watch the recap. And we'll see you next week with maybe normal condition. I'm not sure. Or again, a special edition. Thank you and have a great weekend.
Thank
See you in
very
the
much.
community.